Hello, and welcome. In today's video, I will be attempting to paint the Tyranid starter kit with mostly only the items that came in the box. Apart from the contents, I also have a cheap hobby knife, a pair of cheap clippers, and a can of primer. The back of the box has your basic Games Workshop painting guide, as well as the assembly instructions. Let's take a look inside and see what the contents are. It looks like the paintbrush went for a little bit of a ride. The brush has a decent tip, but I'm not a fan of these starter brushes. They are very difficult to work with after just base coating. Here is our nicely organized sprue with the minis. The 4 bases included for the minis. First is Thunderhawk Blue. I've never used it. Seems to be a little bit of a muted blue. Next is a contrast paint, Magos Purple. Looks interesting. Another one I've never tried before. And on the list of paints I still have yet to try, this is Naggaroth Night. It looks like a pretty nice shade of purple. And then we have Korax White, which seems to be the standard white for these starter kits. Then for our base texture, we have Armageddon Dust. And finally, we have Wraithbone. This pot seems to have had some trouble staying sealed. I used the back of my paintbrush to mix up the contents. It is very chunky, but it seems like it will be usable with quite a bit of mixing. The next step is to clip the mini from the sprue. I cleaned the mold lines with the back of the hobby knife, gently scraping them away, and then cut the bits of extra plastic away very carefully. The pushfoot models go together very easily. I added the mini to the base now so I have something to hold on to while I'm painting. And through the magic of video, the mini is primed. I tried mixing Thunderhawk Blue up with the Naggaroth Night, but I didn't like the shade that I got, so I just decided to put down Naggaroth Night on its own over top of the black primer. I like this shade of purple, and it seems to cover very well over top of the black primer. Next up is the now much less chunkier Wraithbone. I did struggle a little bit finding some good consistency with this paint. It was either a little too watery or a little too dry. At this point, I noticed the camera started having some trouble focusing on the Mini while I was painting it. I apologize for any blurry footage. The coverage for the Wraithbone seemed to be almost the opposite of the purple over the black primer. It really took quite a few thin coats to get some decent coverage. Next, I added up a little bit of Wraithbone to some Magos purple contrast paint, and then added some water to get a very translucent glaze. I wanted to see if it would work similar to a shade, but all it really did was add a little bit of a violet hue to the Wraithbone. Then I added some Magos purple straight from the pot to the joints and other detailed areas. Touch up with Wraithbone to clean up some of the areas that were stained a little violet. I also added a little bit of Corax White to the Wraithbone to try to add a little bit more highlight, but Wraithbone's such a light color that it was hardly noticeable. Now Thunderhawk Blue for the claws and hoofs. It's by no means my favorite blue, but I actually do think it plays fairly well with the purple, so it looks pretty decent on this Mini. I added a bit of Corax white to the Thunderhawk blue to do some highlighting with a bit of a lighter blue over top of the raised areas. Using the hobby knife, I cut off the hooked tip of the brush. It helped a little bit, but not a lot. Now it was time to add some Corax white to the Naggaroth purple and do some highlighting of the armored pieces. I tried to build up some lines on the back armor pieces, but this brush wasn't having it. This tip is just horrible now. I added more white to the purple and did a second round of lighter highlights. I cut off a piece of sprue and used that to mix up the Armageddon dust and then apply it to the base. I chose to do a quick brush over of the base with some wraithbone to show the textures. And finally, I decided to paint the rim of the base in Thunderhawk blue. Here is the finished mini. It was another interesting experience given the limitations. I hope this inspires some of you to hobby. Thanks for watching.